stand in the front so that I can read the screen. But anyway, it's certainly a pleasure for me to be here today, and you know, I always feel so welcome, and so it's so warm and comfort feeling for me to be here. So I was really looking forward to today's giving this presentation today. And you know, by coincidence, actually this morning I gave a somewhat similar presentation to the UCLA Anderson School, and we're working with UCLA Anderson and also USC Marshall to help promote and assist small business to learn how to export. So some of the things I'm going to talk about today is really showing you how you can really use the port resources to really develop trade opportunities. And you know, I always, every opportunity I get, I always speak to people about the real potential that I see in trading with Indonesia. And I really feel that the future is going to be very good and very beneficial for both countries as trade grows. So anyway, let me begin. I always like to kind of start out with kind of a lay the groundwork, and this is the Port of Los Angeles aerial photograph, and I purposely put this one in here because people always get confused. Are there two ports in this area? And there are two ports, and the reason is that part of the port is under the city of Los Angeles and part is under the city of Long Beach, and that's the reason why there are two. So I purposely put this in there to show you why there are two and how they're side by side. And so I always like to talk about this as a gateway, because it doesn't matter for you as a business person which side of the city line you use. You can come to Long Beach, you can come to Los Angeles, but it's trading with the Los Angeles area, Los Angeles gateway. So we always like to call it a gateway because I think it's more descriptive of what we really are here. So, as a port, well, our two ports, where do we fit into the ports in the U.S.? Well, as you can see, this is a comparison of ports in the U.S. Right now, Los Angeles is number 1, Long Beach is number 2. Now, if you look at how much, what we call TEUs, most of you I think might know what TEUs mean. It's how we measure container cargo through a port. It's equivalent to 120-foot container. So if you see one of the larger containers, that's usually 2 TEUs, if it's a 40-foot container. Okay? So if you take LA and Long Beach together, that's about 15 million, or actually it's about 14 million TEUs. Look at the third place port, New York, New Jersey, 5.5. This is how much larger we are than any other port in the United States. Okay? And there are a lot of advantages that I'm going to point out later why this huge size can be very beneficial. Okay. So what do the two ports have in terms of facilities? Well, we have about 13 container terminals, and 11 have on-dock rail. On-dock rail means that within the cargo terminal, you can take a container off a ship, you can then transfer it right there onto a rail car. And then the rail cars then can go throughout wherever you needed to go. Now, about 50% of all the containers that come through this gateway go by rail. And they go to places like Chicago, New York, Dallas, Memphis. These are the places cargo goes. So if you're doing business and you have a customer in some other part of the country, you're here, you can get it to them very easily because we have this extensive rail network. So now we have 100 trains a day. That's about the average. You know, a train is approximately 10,000 feet long. It's about 100 rail cars, and that's considered one unit train. So we have about 100 of those that come in and out of this area every single day. So you can see how extensive the area is. Okay? And of course, what's really important to the steamship lines today are your water depth, because we currently now have 53 feet of water. I think it's approximately about 17 meters. Okay? With that depth, we could handle any container ship that is sailing today. So we call ourselves big ship ready, meaning that some of the really large ships that you hear about being built, they can come here. Normally they don't because they're on other locations, but we can handle them here. Okay? And we have, of course, large acreage, and I won't talk about our foreign trade zone, but the port has its own foreign trade zone designation, and we can actually create foreign trade zones. So, all right, where is our market? Of course, we're on the Pacific Rim. About 90% of the business that we get through this gateway is from Asian countries. So, you know, it's the growth of the Asian economies is really allowed the ports to grow because of this tremendous volume that we get from Far East. About 43% of all the container cargo that comes into and out of the country comes through this gateway. So you can see how critical it is, even for the economy of the U.S., that these ports stay viable and stay open. And because any disruption would really be serious for the economy. You know, I mean, 43% of the whole economy, volume of product. So, and I mentioned already, 50% goes by rail to these destinations. The other 50% stays here, and it gets distributed in this local region. But as a result of that, that 50% is a large number. Now, there'll be some other numbers I'll show you that will reflect this. So, we talk about economic impact, and this industry, the ports and the logistics and all the support industries that go with it, are a tremendous economic part of the economy of the country. About $310 billion in trade. That's an old number now, but about 3 million jobs throughout the country. That's both direct and indirect. About 30 billion in taxes throughout the country from the cargo. About 1 million jobs just in California alone. Just from the numbers, you can see the tremendous impact it has on the whole economy of this region. Right. So, who are our major trading partners? Well, I'm sure everyone guessed number one is China, and we've really grown. If you see China's economic growth pattern and you put the port's growth next to it, the line will be just parallel. Okay? But China, Japan, South Korea. I'm really looking for Indonesia to be up here very soon. Okay? Right? Now, something interesting that we put together for this particular slide is this percentage number that you see there. Okay? That's the percentage change from the prior year. Okay? So you see some countries, I'm always amazed. Look, India went up 51% in growth in 1 year. But just from the large numbers, you can see that Asian countries are really predominant in terms of our growth.
The number is net import or net export?
Both. Yeah, it's total trade. Yeah. And these numbers come from what we call our Los Angeles Customs District. The Los Angeles Customs District, well, the country is divided up by U.S. Customs into different districts, and we are the largest customs district. In fact, in 2012, we were the first customs district to exceed $400 billion worth of trade. And no other district in the country has ever done that, so we're the first. But it includes not only the 2 ports, but it also includes the airport, because it's the value. And of course, the airport handles higher value cargo. But we partner with the airport because as business, you want to have the option of being able to use either type of transportation, whatever is best for you and your customer. So I just quickly kind of put down some of the major commodities. This is imports, kind of fairly standard, computers, vehicle parts. There's quite a variety. Okay? And these are our primary exports. So one of the things that I pointed out to this group this morning is that if you were to look at the imports versus exports, if you look at the export side, you see a lot of things like scrap steel, scrap copper, aluminum scrap, And we do ship tremendous amounts of scrap material out, but still, we do quite a bit. And also, we've been setting records for exporting the last 3 years, so we're very proud of the export side. Now, I really did some research on Indonesia because I wanted to have some numbers here. So this is from the Census Bureau data in millions of dollars. Okay, the top 10 import commodities just with Indonesia. Okay. And you know, if anybody's interested, I can give you the copy of the PowerPoint. I can send it to you, if you're interested. And then, because this is the export. So these are kind of things that you might want to look at if you're looking at potential business opportunities. Now, I wanted to put this in here because I talked about Mongkok Grade. This is just a map of the U.S. and it shows the rail corridors and where they go throughout the country. So you can see just from this, rail network pretty much covers the whole country. So you can access or either access commodities or you can distribute commodities from here into, like I say, practically any part of the U.S. And this is just another summary. It's more specific as to where cargo goes, New York, Chicago, etc. You know, it was interesting because there's a lot of companies that prefer using this versus Panama Canal, and I'll talk a little bit about it in the next future slides. Now, this is the one that I really like to show. What it is just showing you how many days of transport time it takes normally to get to certain points. And we start off from Shanghai to LA, which is 13 days. If you'll notice, if you want to go Shanghai, New York by boat, it's 26 days. Okay? And that time difference can be very critical to business. And I've spoken to business people in New York who use the rail and the Port of LA because 5 or 6 days difference is just too costly for them. So these are some things that you can, if you're aware of them, you can help develop your business from making the best decisions on how to move your cargo. And I actually this morning, since I was talking about exports, I just reversed it and explained how you can get your product out of here in a lot quicker time. So what are the strong points of this gateway? Numerous and frequent sailings. All right. We have about 46 vessel departures a week from this gateway. That means ships that leave these two ports every week, on average about 46 a week. Out of those 46, it's actually 26 out of the 46 go directly to Asian countries. And I've talked before about how I would like to really see direct service coming from LA directly to Indonesia, because I think that would really create a tremendous opportunity for building the trade company. Okay, and of course I already talked about container terminals, the sailings, the greatest number of origin and destination points, and that 46. There's no other port in the country that has that many vessel sailings at any one time. Okay, equipment. We have plenty of equipment here. If you need a container to ship goods, they're always readily available. They're here. And greatest number of logistics and distribution centers. 660 million square feet of warehouse space in a 60-mile radius. Okay. Now, if you take Southern California, I was told there's about 1.2 billion square feet of warehouse space. It's the biggest logistical center in the country, and actually it might be the biggest in the world with that much available capacity for distribution warehouse. And I mentioned our foreign trade zone. If any companies you deal with are interested in coming to Los Angeles, a foreign trade zone might be something that fits into their plans, we'd be more than happy to talk about our foreign trade zone and help companies, look at that. So, once again, we are the #1 customs district in the country. We had $403 billion worth of trade in 2012. It was a record. And these are some of the high points as to why so much cargo comes here to Los Angeles. We have a large local consumer market. We have good transportation costs. Airport and ports are close by, which means you can switch transportation if you need be. And I mentioned the competition. 13 container terminals, all the major steamship lines that come here, they are all competing for business. So whenever you have competition like that, of course, they have to offer a great price. Excuse me. So that competition gives you an advantage because of it doesn't guarantee it, but it's going to give you a very competitive price. And so, once again, this is just a more reiteration of what I've said in a number of others, like I say, 100 trains. The other strength that we like to talk about is that because of the number of logistics and services here, we have so many professionals that are skilled in all the elements of getting into trade. Freight forwarders, customs brokers, attorneys, CPAs, people who are very familiar with trade and what it takes to go on. And this area is very, very strong in that area. The other advantage is that many of them are bilingual. So if you prefer a language other than English, you can find it here. And that's really a positive for this region. This is my closing slide, and I wanted to just kind of point out how everything involved with transportation kind of really centers here in LA. We've got the airport. Airport has about 1,000 flights a day. Okay, and then we have the port. We also have excellent ground transportation with trucking and rail, and we all work together to help move your goods in or out. And that's why I put LA kind of at the center of this map, because from LA, you are able to reach practically anywhere in the world for your customer. And although there are some, of course, going to take a lot longer to get there, a lot of them are not direct, but anyway, it's having all of this here really gives you a good advantage. And we are here to help you. We are here to work with you. I was mentioning that we do have a special program that we work with small business, and we actually hold workshops, classes on how to export. And it's quite extensive, but we'd be more than happy to offer it to your organization if there's an interest. So anyway, thank you very much.